Hello everybody, you're all very welcome here today. As Tess said, I'm Bernadine Brady. I work here in the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre and in the School of Political Science and Sociology here at NUI Galway. So my role this morning is just to welcome you and to just put why we're here today in context. So as Tess mentioned, she's a member of the Global Youth Mentoring Network. So what I want to do is just to give you a little bit of a background on that network and its purpose and rationale and so on, and just to set the scene for the presentations that you're going to hear today. So what I'm going to do is just look briefly at youth mentoring. Most of you are familiar with what it is, but just for those who aren't, and for all of us, just to refresh our minds on what we mean when we talk about youth mentoring and why it's considered to be a valuable approach. And then I'll move on to look at the network itself. Okay, so I suppose there's many definitions of youth mentoring, but the most of them have in common that it's centres on a relationship between a younger person who's called a mentee and an unrelated older person who's a mentor. And the primary role of the mentoring relationship is around friendship and support, and that the mentor will be a positive influence in the life of the young person. So mentoring can be formal or informal. So informal is the mentoring relationships that occur naturally in our lives, like teachers or neighbours or sports coaches, whereas formal tends to be provided in the context of a structured programme. And I suppose there's a lot of structured contexts in which formal mentoring programmes are developed, including young people in the community at risk, children in care and leaving care, programmes around school transition, youth justice, and around supporting refugee and asylum seeker young people. So I suppose the question why, or in terms of the research evidence in relation to youth mentoring, there's increasingly a body of qualitative and quantitative research findings in relation to mentoring. And I suppose a lot of the qualitative research findings have found that in the majority of cases that young people value this authentic, informal, social relationship, particularly children maybe who might have a lot of involvement with social services, where they've more kind of professional formal relationships, value the presence of a more informal relationship with somebody in the community. Youth mentoring can work in a way that's complementary to more formal social services, so it's not intended to replace professional intervention if it's needed, but it can actually be a very valuable complement to formal intervention. It's a very flexible, youth-centred form of provision, so it's available, I suppose, outside of office hours, in that the mentor is available as a friend and can be there to support the young person when needed. And there's a lot of evidence in terms of outcomes around young people feeling better supported from having a mentor, having a better sense of well-being, and improvements in the areas of education and risk behaviour as well. But I suppose moving to the conference theme for today, the research findings really emphasise that to achieve these best quality outcomes, that adherence to best practice is critical. So from that point of view, I suppose that's where the role of research comes into play around ensuring that outcomes are quality outcomes in youth mentoring. And that's the purpose of the conference today, is to kind of share research and findings around what works best in terms of youth mentoring. So I just want to go on and talk a little bit around how we came to form this Global Youth Mentoring Network. As many of you know, here in the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre, we've had a long history of research on mentoring. We have a very strong relationship with Sreering and their Big Brothers Big Sisters programme, going back to 2005 when we did the first evaluation study of the programme, and we subsequently did what was the first randomised control trial of for youth intervention in Ireland through the Big Brothers Big Sisters programme. Study was completed in 2011, and we also did studies of the school-based mentoring programme. So our relationship with Sean Campbell and Mary here and all their colleagues has been a very, very, I suppose, productive and valuable, a hugely valued relationship to us here in the centre, and we've learned so much from them as part of that relationship. And we've also had collaboration with the ISPCC, Tess and her colleagues in previous years around more outcome measures more broadly in their work. and with Teresa in the Charles University Prague around her PhD study of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program in the Czech Republic. So we had various, obviously, involvements with research in terms of mentoring. Our colleagues then, John Pinkerton in Queen's and Caroline McGregor, who was there at the time, also had a strong interest in mentoring. John had done work with Say Yes in South Africa, which is a program around mentoring for leaving care that he's going to talk about later. And Caroline and John had collaborations with Christina and Gabriella and colleagues in Scott and Romania, again around mentoring for children in care. So we were lucky enough when Caroline McGregor, our esteemed colleague, joined us here in NUI Galway a few years ago, and she brought these links and networks with her, and we decided to pool our knowledge and our experience in relation to this and try and do something about it. So we decided to hold a seminar, our first Youth Mentoring Network seminar, in November 2014. So we brought together a lot of the partners that we were all involved in and shared a lot of our findings and experiences. So after that meeting, we decided to form a network in order to kind of, I suppose, progress and formalise the relationships between the research and practice partners. So I suppose the rationale behind actually forming a network, as you know, youth mentoring is huge in the States. It's very well established. They have a huge amount of knowledge and experience. But I suppose we felt that in Europe and elsewhere throughout the world, there's a lot of very innovative practice happening around youth mentoring. And we do things slightly differently than they do in the States. But yet there was no forum whereby people could network and share experience and knowledge in relation to research and practice. So at the time as well, Pat Dolan, the UNESCO chair, who's based here in the centre, was in the process of establishing a global network of UNESCO chairs of children, youth and community. So there was an opportunity to affiliate as a sub-network of that global network, which is all about, I suppose, promoting positive outcomes for children and young people. So it tied very much in with what we wanted to do. So we established the network with the aims. That's a picture of some of the original members. Tess isn't in that picture. But our aim was to facilitate the sharing of research and practice in relation to youth mentoring, with a particular emphasis on sharing knowledge among mentoring organisations and researchers outside of the USA, where research and practice remains fragmented. So, and I suppose what's unique about the network as well is that it's partners who are involved in research and practice. So that was very important for us in terms of having the research and the practice in the network together, so that there could be a good cross-fertilisation of perspectives. So in terms of objectives, we want to facilitate networking between mentoring practitioners and researchers at national and international levels. So we do this by hosting an annual conference. So this is actually the first annual conference that has happened under the auspices of the Global Youth Mentoring Network. And how we work is that every year we ask one of our steering group members to host the conference. So Tess and ISPCC have kindly agreed to host our first conference, and we thanks to them. And next year it will be in Portugal. Francisco is bringing us over there, kicking and screaming, you know. So the next objective is to create mechanisms to share research findings, models and approaches. So this can be practice models, approaches, ways of doing evaluation, so on. So one way of doing this is to have a website where we can share this kind of knowledge. And also then research and policy briefings. So as members we will produce research briefings and make sure that research is available in a more digestible format. And then I suppose further down the line we hope to engage in kind of collaborative actions in the area of mentoring research theory and practice, like joint funding proposals, publications, capacity building actions and so on. So far we've received some seed funding from the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre to enable us to set up a website, so thank you very much to the Centre for that. We've started working on some policy briefings and frequently asked questions, so the website is live, you can access it. And obviously this is our first annual conference. So we're very much in our formation phase, so that's what we've done so far. The structure of the network is that we have a steering group, which was most of the people you saw in that picture and a lot of the presenters who are here today. And then we also have a general membership. So the steering group is kind of responsible for the kind of general direction and management of the network. We've general members then who can register and be informed about activities and events and so on. And we have then coordinators. And the coordinators at the moment are myself, Caroline McGregor and Mary Lynch. So our role is to oversee the day-to-day running of the network. We've current members from the Czech Republic, Romania, England, Scotland, Ireland, USA, Northern Ireland, South Africa, Portugal and Spain. And we very much welcome new or additional members. Okay, so I suppose today, this is our first event. We declare our network officially launched. So we don't have any champagne. It was a little bit early, so I hope coffee will do. And we'd like to again thank warmest thanks to Tess and the ISPCC for taking on our first annual conference. And that's my email address if there's anybody who would like more details about the network or to become a member. So I've just set the scene. You will hear a lot more from our members today around their work, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.